Hello everyone, good morning.
Good morning, Vikrant.
Yeah, let's wait for another couple of minutes and then we will start. Okay, then let's get started. So, how are you all? How was your weekends? Good or bad?
Good, sir.
Only good? Just asking. Okay, then actually, uh, on Saturday maybe I shared the Pandas notebook with you all. I hope you have received all of those things. I think I hope you guys are already started practicing that. Am I correct?
Yeah, Vikrant, I mean, with that document that you shared, can you also share that Excel sheet because they are reading from a particular Excel sheet or CSV file. So if you want to
Uh,
manipulate or something, no, it will be easier.
okay. Okay. I will zip all the data sets,
Yeah.
and I'll send it to you. Okay. But it's your responsibility to place it somewhere, the data, and while you are executing your Pandas notebook, you should provide the exact path, whatever the path it is required, that data you should provide it. Okay, that path.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, then let's continue with our actual topics. So let me share my screen. Okay, can you guys can see my screen? So it's just a quick recap, whatever you guys are learned so far. So you guys learned about what is pandas and what are the keywords which you should aware of those things, and as well as how we can create a data frame, how we can read the data frame, how we can view the data frames, how we can do the transformations out of that, how we can get the information like basic information from your data frames, and like what are the Pythonic ways to achieve all these things, and how we can filter the data frame and group by aggregation. All of these things you guys are learned so far. So now it's time to learn how we can merge one or more data frames, more than one data frames. How we can merge it? Let's say you have some data frame. Okay, I'll just open this one. Okay, you have a data frame like this. Just delete this one. Come on. So serial ID is model ID, factory ID, dealer ID, and actual sales. So you have a same data frame with different values. Okay, within a different values, like somehow from the different region you may get some different dealer IDs, different actual sales, and different serial number and all. But they have stored the information in the same format only, in these 4 columns only, serial ID and all those things. So you have a multiple data frames having the same columns. I'm just highlighting the word, that is, if you have in a same column names, what we are going to do. So we need to merge these 2 data frames, right? How we can merge the 2 data frames and create a big data out of that? That we can understand. And the another situation is, if your columns are different, okay, if your columns are different, but one of the column from your one data frame is very related to another data frame, how you are going to merge the data frames? Okay, if you have column A, column B, column C in one data frame, and another data frame you have column D, column E, and column C, how we can merge this data frame into column A, B, C, D, and E, and create a data out of this from these 2 data sets. Let's assume, so these are the 2 data frames, and from this 2 data frame, how we can merge into one data frame and get the big data out of those 2 data frames. So then how we can merge it in these situations, right? So in SQL form, we call this C as a foreign key. Okay, so if it is a primary key, means the columns having only unique values. In the real-time scenarios, your customer ID or your serial ID, so this will be becoming your primary keys. So here, what is which column is the primary key in this data frame?
Serial ID.
Yeah, serial ID. Why? Because this ID having a very unique values, right? So you can say it as this is a unique key. But if you have in the same data frame, if you have another data frame within a different column, but if you have a dealer ID in that as well, then what we can call this dealer ID, we can call it as just a foreign key. So these are the concept when it comes to if you want to becoming a database administrator, in this kinds of role. So you might heard about these kinds of wording. So that's why I just bring the meaning of those things. Okay. So in that case, how you are going to merge? So this key is this C column tells about the relationship between these 2 data frames. So based on that relationship, we are going to merge and creating one big data out of that. How we can merge these 2 data frames? So in Python, we have 2 ways, right? One is appending the data frame from the bottom and side by side join, right? So now we can just assume the situations. If we have in a columns, if we have in 2 data frames with the same column names, are we going to join the data frame from the bottom side, or are we going to join the data frame for side by side?
In the bottom.
In the bottom. Why?
Because the columns are same.
Okay, what happened if I join the same column and data frame into left and right side?
Duplicate column.
Please be louder. Then it might affect a duplicating the columns, right? If I have a serial ID, model ID, these columns in another data frame, if I merge these two data frame in the side by side, what happened? Again, those 5 columns has come here, right? With the same names. Then what happened? The serial ID gets duplicated, model ID, this column gets duplicated, right? Then in that case, how you are going to resolve the data science problems if the columns is duplicated? Then what happened at the end? In some of the time, you are just going to remove the duplicate columns. Then you might lose the information of those data frames, right? All these points, if the columns are different, then you can go ahead with a side-by-side approach. Okay, can you guys can still hear my voice? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So if the columns are different, then you can go with a side-by-side approach. Like you can join the data frame from left and right. If the columns are different, that is the scenarios. If the columns are same, then you can just go with appending approach. You can just append the data frame from the bottom, having the same column names. Okay, then you won't face any problem of duplicating the columns, and you won't lose any of the records that will be anyhow there in that data frames. Okay, so let's bring this situation, the same kinds of things in a Pythonic way. So let's go to the Jupyter notebook and we'll see how we can merge, what are the methods, supporting methods we have in Python. Okay, so we have merge method and concat method. Okay, so let's open this merge method. What are the things we have? So here, df1 as a cars.csv. I'll just open those data frames as well. Documents, ML, advanced Python, and the data. Cars. Is this the one? Yeah, this is the cars data. Now, I wanted to open a factory. So here we have which column here? We have factory information we have, right? Factory A, B, C, D, like that. So let's import, let's open the file with the informations of factories. Yep. Now you can see we have the information about those factories. Factory A, B, C, D. So factory A name is factory A and located in UK and in the town of Bellingham. So in this way, we have an information about the factories, right? How I can say the user to, like, if we have a 1 million of record, how I can say that serial A, model A is produced in which city? So if we need a city information, I wanted to bring the factory ID information. Where we have the factory information? Here we have that factory ID. So how we can bring this data into the data frame? So it's easy. We need to merge these two data frames together, like in the side by side. Then we can get the factory informations as well. And we need to merge the data frame on this factory ID column, because you can see that we have the factory ID column here as well, and in cars.csv as well. In cars.csv as well. Like what happened if I merge these two data frame? So wherever we have factory A, so we are getting some other 3 columns, that is we are going to get other 3 columns, that is factory name, country, and city. So country name, city, right? Sorry, factory name, country name, and city. So wherever we have factory A, so those rows are filled up within a city name of Birmingham, and city like country as UK, factory name as a factory A, wherever we have this factory A rows, right? So how we can automate this, like automatically find these solutions instead of applying a formula over here and just copy paste it somewhere else. So it's easy to merge in Python. So let's see how we can merge it. So let me read those data frame first. Yes, I'm successfully able to read it. So see, this is the data frame. This is how it looks. factory information and the cars information. So let me merge these two data frames. How we can merge it? You guys can also see the shape of that data frames, how it is looks. Okay. Once that is done, so you can just bring that one data frame, that is df concatenation of one. That you can just use merge. Okay, merge method, you can again always use the shift tab to understand the documentation and the arguments which we want to provide. Okay, so here we have an argument that is right. So that is argument is in a data frame or series. You can provide a columns or data frames. Okay, so here we are just merging the two data frames. I can provide a data frame, right? But what are the values should be there on your right side of your resultant data frame? So you need to assume that how your resultant data frame should looks like. So this df concatenation one is in a left data frame. So now in the right data frame, that data frame you should provide. So, and we have other options, that is how you need to join. So whoever are familiar with the SQLs, those people know some of the multiple joins. Inner join, outer join, full outer join. So you can just see the documentation how. Okay, let's go into that parameter how. So these are the options we have. Left join we have, right join, outer join, inner join, and cross join. By default is inner join. So I'll just tell you what it is. So you can always read this document. Okay. Use only keys from the left frame, similar to SQL left outer join. What do you mean by left outer join? It means here you can see, I'll just give an example. This is the right data frame. Okay. I'll just bring the two data frame together. So basically this is how it looks, right? If I merge these two data frames. Now, so let's assume this is a left data frame, this is a right data frame. If I provided a how as a left data frame, then what happened? This is going to see all the values from the left hand data set of this factory ID, because this is the column which we are going to provide, on which column we need to merge, right? This factory ID is the column we have in both the data frames. Now, so let's assume here we have in a factory A, B, C, only A, B, C. If I provide it only, factory, it's a factory, right? A, B, C, D. Okay. Let's assume if we don't have a factory ID data over here, if we don't have, then what happened? And if I provided a left join, then what happened? It is only going to take all the elements. It is going to consider factory A, B, C records. And from here, it is only taking an A, B, C values only. It is just removing the factory D information. It is not going to merge the factory D information at all into your left data frame. Why? Because we have provided a left join. Then if what happened? In the same situation, let's assume if we don't have enough factory D information over here, then if we are provided a right join, then what happened? All the information it is going to join factory A, B, C, D. And if you don't have the factory D in your left data frame, then all the values are gets replaced with a nonce. Okay, then it means it is going to selecting all the records from the right data frame. If I selected a right data frame, if I selected a left data frame, it is going to select all the data records of the left data frame. If what happened, if I selected as an inner join, what happened? It is going to select the records like what are the common elements. If we have any factory A here and factory A here, it is going to take that. Factory B, then taking. C and C, again it's going to take. If the D is not there here, if it is there, or if it is there here, if it is not there here, it is not going to take. The value should be there in both the data frame. The record should be there in the both the data frame. Then it is going to considering and merging with those values. That is what inner join. Outer join means if it is there or not there, if it is there in the left hand side, right hand side, it is going to consider all the values. Okay, this is the basic SQL joins. Okay, if you want to explore more on the joins, because this join group by these concepts are very important when it comes to a data engineering part. If you want to become a data engineer, right, in the market, so you should know about all these things. These are the best, these are the must and should interview questions those people are going to ask, because this is very much needed for those people to joining the multiple big data sets. See, now we can see that in Python. Okay, so this is the two data frame we have, right? So let's see on merge. So you guys got to know how this argument work. That is how. On means you need to provide the column name on which column you are going to join. As I told, here it is the case of factory ID. So on factory ID column, we are going to doing that. So if you want to do a left on join, you can provide a true or false condition, or right on or left index, right index, all of this thing. And if you want to do in a sorting while doing in a join, if you want to do in a sorting, you can do that. Okay. So these are the multiple parameters over there, and we have a good examples as well for those things, those lines. We can just explore these examples first, and then we can just go with the actual data sets. Okay. So now it's time to provide our arguments, our data sets to join. So concatenation of 2 is the data frame. And then what is the second argument? Second argument will be how. I'll just provide how I can provide it. Inner. If you are going to provide a inner or not, the by default is inner only. Then on which column you need to provide, that is factory ID. Okay. So let me execute this line of code. Oh, come on. What happened? It's not closed. See? It's merged. It is merged. See, if anybody asks the information about the model A, on which factory it is manufactured, where is that factory, and on which country that factory is located, on which city it is located, you can answer all of these questions by this one joins. Right? Anyway, we have that information in the different sources. We need to bring all those data together and we need to merge it like the valid information, right? We have model A. So you can easily say that, yeah, model A is manufactured in factory A. The factory name is factory A and factory country is UK and city is in Birmingham. So in the same way, wherever we have factory A information, it is going to fill up with this information, that is UK and Birmingham. And factory B is US, Seattle. Factory B, again, it's the same. And factory C, it is US and factory C is US. Here, it is, we are missed one data, that is factory D. Why? I'm just given an inner join. Just analyze the situation. This is actually the problem situation which may find in the future as well, in whatever the problems you are going to deal. Okay, you can just think, you can think in that way. Factory D information is missing. Why? How I can bring the factory D information over here? So, did you guys followed so far, or still you have any questions? Maybe we can solve this problem later on. Like if you have any questions, please go ahead first on these joins. A bottom join, it's not a big deal. It's a small one, so we can easily do that. But this is the very most important one. Any questions?
Left outer join can be used, sir.
You want to say left?
Yes.
Okay. I'll just say it as do it in the left. What happened? See now? Did I get an factory D information? Yes. We got a factory D. But what is the information we got? What is the information we have? We can just see how that left join works. So it is going to take all the values of left, and here it is not taking it. Why?
There is no match data.
There is no matched data. So okay, I'll just bring those data frame together. You can see what is not matched, why it is not coming.
The name, it has a space in front, factory D, in the
This
right
one,
panel.
right? Yeah.
Yes.
So nice. So that much of sensitivities. Python is that much of sensitive because it is started with a small space. You can see the small space. So that's why it is not taking it. It is not taking that this factory ID, this factory D and this factory D. It is not saying like it is both are same. Okay. So that is the what I can say, a mismatch we have in our data set. We need to clean the data set first, then we can move ahead with then a join. Okay. Now let me now you guys can tell me whether I should go with an inner join, left join, right join, and which join we need to go.
Inner join.
Inner join. What happened if I used inner join?
It takes a common
Match
from both
condition.
sides.
Yeah.
Yeah. But here my problem statement is I need an factory information for my data, for my models, whatever the models I had. I need a factory information of these models, right? And I have a factory details in a different data set. How I can bring here into these models, right? In this situation, should I go with a left join, right join, or inner join, or outer join?
Right join.
Right join. Why?
The right table is having the column for which we want the information, the complete information.
Yeah, we have a complete information. What happen if I selected the inner join? What is the problem which may face in future?
Oh, yeah, only the matched conditions which are there in both the tables will be shown.
Yeah, otherwise it won't shown. Let's say if we have a model, some different models, right? So if it is matched, then only it is going to take that. If it is not matched, then what happened? We are going to lost our main data set, our base data set. So it is my reference table. This is the just an information extraction we are doing, right? In that case, we should go with a left join. Let's select the left join very firstly. So here we have all the information, but it is saying we don't that what I can say. Yeah, factory data is saying like I don't have any factory D information, but we have that information. If I see the data frame, the factory D information we have that, but if I merge it, it is saying we don't have that information. Then how we can tackle these problems? We need to clean the data set first. How we can clean it? You can use a strip functionality, right? Let me bring. So, okay, here we have the code, right? Yeah, here I'm going to just compare that factory ID information to see why it is not matched, right? See factory D, C, A, B, C, D have the 4 data. But if we see that factory D, here we have one space over there, right? How we can clean that? So very firstly, we need to select that column very firstly. That is where it is. Oh, come on. Yeah, very first we need to select that. So we can't see like, so we can't see the space is there or not. So we need to clean some of anyhow, like some default cleaning things. Anyhow, we should do. That is default thing is having some trailing spaces or leading spaces. These things, this is actually a expected unwanted data which we could expect from different sources, right? Then we need to convert that into a string. I think you already seen this kind of conversion when we are used to convert column names into upper. So in the same way, you can just convert into str dot Now, once it is converted into string, then you can use a strip functionality. Strip. Okay. So now you guys can see, you can't see it actually by your eye, whether it is cleaned or not. So once I'm going to apply the same changes to my column. Which column? That is factory ID. I just added. Now the cleaning is done. Now let me execute this line of code again. So now you guys can see what is the changes you can see now. See that unwanted spaces get removed. Right? So by using our basic Python coding, I just clean up my code. Now I can redo the same thing, right? On factory ID, on how is equals to left. Now you guys can see all the information we have. We don't lost any of the information now. Successfully able to do it. So this is how you can solve the problem if you know the concepts. On which column you are going to do, on which column you need to check if you are seeing any null values or not. Sometimes you may get a null values if you don't have the information. Okay, that's actually a valid valid answer which we can get. But sometimes because of this raw data sourcing, so we also get some null values that we don't need it. This is how you can use the merge operations. So far, so clear? Any questions so far? Okay, I'll take this as no question. Now, it's time to know some other method, that is concatenation. Concat function from the pandas. So you can see pd dot concat. Concat means it's just joining of two data frames. It's just a join of two data frames, irrespective of column names, irrespective of left or right or whatever it is. It's just doing a concatenation of the data frame in the axis of, you can say axis of 0, axis of 1. What do you mean by axis of 1 and 0?
0 is row and 1 is column, correct?
Yeah. 0 is, you can say, horizontal joins and 1 is like vertical. Got it? So it's just doing that irrespective of the column name, nothing. Like if we have a same column names, you can just go with an axis is equals to 1. If we have an let me bring these two data frames on the downwards. Yeah, so let me create one data frame, some sample data frames I have created. Okay, so here we have two data frames having the same columns. So I wanted to concatenate these two data frames. Okay, this is very simple. So you need to provide the data frames in the list format. In the list of data frame, you need to provide. Okay, so I just created a list and df1 comma df2. And by default, axis anyhow 0 only. By default axis is 0 only. Now you guys can see it over here. If I provide axis is equals to 1, then what happened? It is going to join the columns in a like what I can say horizontal manner. It's just going to join the data frames in a side by side. So here you may face the situation of a duplicate columns A, B, A, B. These columns are duplicated. So if my function and if my script is have the capability of dropping the duplicated columns, then what happened? It is not going to checking the values. It's just going to say the column names. Yeah, these column names are duplicated. Then it's just going to drop these duplicates. So that's why. So be careful on the joining. So if you have any same column, just going to append it. If you don't have any same column, if the columns are separated, then you can just identify what is the foreign key. So that is relationship key. So if you find any relation or like foreign key, based on that foreign key, you can start merging the data frames. Okay. So now I'll just change this as a 0. So now you guys can see the index 0, 1, 2, 0, 1, 2. Now, if you want to reset this complete index from 0 to the length of those rows, you can just use reset index. Come on, reset index. Yep. So this index is came as in a column. Then if you want to avoid that, you can just use drop is equals to true. See, this is how it works. This concatenation. And yes, you can also concatenate any of the data frame. You guys can see it, like if I concatenate it in this way without inner join specification or columns name specification, this is how it looks. So its job is to just concatenate the two data frames. That is what it is doing. It is not caring about your foreign key or primary key, nothing like that. See, the first data, like right data frame having these 4 values, left data frame having these values, and the rest of it is printed as none values. Okay. Any questions on concatenating or joining these two data frames? This is the most important one again. You should aware of what is this left and right joins and all. In the SQL also, it is the same. So far, so clear? Okay. Then next concept would be our data pre-processing. So here we already faced one challenging situation, that having some unwanted space. So that unwanted space causes like losing some of the records, right? Our logic is correct, but we lost some few records because of that raw data sourcing. How we can clean that? So we just got to know how we can clean the unwanted space. In the same way, how we can do it, some other things. Here we have, let's say you can consider this data frame. Okay, here we have an none values. Very firstly, the machine learning algorithms will not accept any of the data frame having the none values. If you have if your data set have the one none values while training the data frame, it is not going to accept it. It's directly throwing any error. Why? Because algorithms are built upon the numerical concepts. Okay, it's a mathematical concept. If it is in the text format, if your data is in the text or string format or numerical format, so in some of the time you are going to convert that into an integer type. You are just going to doing an encoding. After that only you are passing into your model training. But if you have any none values, if you have a string, you can do encoding. If you have any numerical values, you can just convert it into integer type. But if you have any none values, how you are going to change the data types? Right? How you are going to change, how you are going to do an encoding, all of these things. So that's why machine learning algorithms will not allow if your data set have the none values. So you need to fill up these none values with some values, right? For that as well, we have multiple methods that I'm going to show it in the coming sections. So before that, so that is actually one example which I provided. And another example which you can see continuously is duplicating rows, duplicated rows. So you need to provide a very good and valid data to your model training. You should not provide unnecessary big data for model training. What happened? It is anyhow it is going to train if you have any duplicate data, but it may affect in the prediction. So it may provide a false information, false prediction, or it may consume some good sourcing. Sourcing means it's executors, because if the data is going high, machine learning model will take a good amount of time for model training. So by considering of all these things, we need to provide a very, very important information only to our model predictions. When it comes to the column wise, when it comes to the row wise, the same. We should not provide columns with all the columns. We should not provide all the columns for model training. We need to do some feature selections. What are the data? What are the columns is most important for our model training? And then what are the rows, right? So rows, anyhow, we need all the rows, but you can just remove the duplicated rows. We should not provide a duplicate data. What happened if I provided a duplicate data? It is keep on training on the same data set and providing some false. It may provide some good prediction as well, but sometime it will provide some false information as well. So in that case, you need to provide. You need to remove some duplicate rows. This is what I'm just giving example. That is empty cells and duplicating the rows of all these things, right? So for that, I just created some data frames, right? So here you can see which index data is in a duplicated row. Can you guys see any of the duplicate rows over here?
1 and 2.
1 and 2. These two?
No
How it will-
duplicates, right? A, B is different.
Yeah. A is different. It is not duplicate. Do we have any duplicate rows over here?
No.
1 and 3.
1 and 3.
Yeah, row 1, yeah, and row 3. Sorry, no, it's bar. No, sorry, it's bar.
It's bar.
Okay.
Okay, here we don't have any duplicates. Okay. I'll just give another. I'll just add some more data with having a duplicate as bar and 1. A. Now 3 and 4 are duplicated. How we can drop the duplicates? df dot. You can always go with a drop duplicates method we have. Okay, inside of that you can provide some multiple arguments. Subset keep in place. You know this in place argument already. And ignore index. Irrespective of the index values, you can do that. And at the end, it is going to provide the data frames. Right? Now, let me do, I'm not going to provide any of the arguments. So why? Because I don't see any of the required arguments. All are all optional arguments, right? So I'll just test with drop duplicates. If I'm not provided any of the argument, what happened? It's just simply going to remove the whatever the duplicate rows we have. It's just going to drop that, right? Now, once it is dropped, I'm just going to save this into df2. Okay, this is drop. df2 dot drop duplicate. What do you mean by subset argument? Subset argument in the sense whatever the columns you are going to provide in the subset argument, it is going to remove the rows only if any duplicates will be available on those columns. Let's see in the subset, if I provided a subset as B and C, what are the duplicate rows we have only then compared to B and C?
1, 3, and 4.
Okay, I'll just already drop this row. I just remove the duplicates already. Now
1 and 3.
1 and 3. Why? Because I'm not considering this A, because in my subset argument I just provided a B and C. In this way, I'm just going to tell to Python, hey Python, if in the column of B and C, only consider column B and C, and if we have any duplicates in those two columns, can just remove it. How we can provide it? So for that only we have that argument, that is subset. Subset is equal to, in the list you need to provide the column names B and C. I'm not going to tell like only you need to provide more than one column. You can also provide only one columns only. If let's say this A is in a primary key. If A is in a primary key, then what happened? What is the wrong thing is going here?
Duplicate.
Duplicate. If I said A is a primary key to my project, but it is having some duplicates, then what I should do? I should remove the duplicate customers. Whatever the transaction they have did, I don't want that. If the one customer did multiple transactions in a different way within a same ID, I am not going to accept that. So in that case, how I can remove it? So I can provide a subset as only A. Then what happened? It is going to remove all the duplicates and turns this column as a unique values, right? It is not going to remove all the columns. It is just going to remove wherever we have the A columns are duplicated, then it is just going to remove it. At this moment, it is, okay, I'll just give it as an A only. We'll go with that example. Subset is A. See, now this A column turns to primary key. Now we can see we don't have any duplicate values, right? If I have B is 0, then okay, I'll just give it in the first. Okay. Now I'm just going to use the A only. So see, it is not going to drop this B and C columns as well. Why? Because this is also duplicated when it comes to B and C. But if I'm only concentrating on this A columns duplicate values, so you can provide that column names and get the result out of that. This is what subset is going to do. Then we have keep the first, last, false. So first, the by default is first argument. So let's see what it is doing. Determines which duplicates, if any, to keep. First, if I provide it as a first, then what happened? Drop the duplicate except for the first occurrence, right? If I provide it as a last, it will drop the duplicate except for the last occurrence. And if you are provided as a false, then what happened? It is just going to drop all the duplicates. So in this way also, like instead of providing in a subset, you can also providing in a keep arguments. And anyhow, about the in place, you already got to know what is meant by in place. It's just overwriting your existing data frame. And if you are provided as an ignore index, then what happened is it is not going to considering. So here you can see what is the index you are getting, 0 and 3. Afterwards, you need to make it as a reset index to reassign the index. To avoid that, here also you can provide ignore index is equals to true. See, now index gets changed automatically. So this is how this drop duplicate methods works. So you may get some of the on the online platform, you may find some good data sets and all those things. So okay, so to do all these things and yep. So this is just removing any duplicates and printing the unique values. Now, if I want to know, if I want to print the duplicate rows only, how I can print it? This is the dropping the duplicates, right? So this is data frame you can see. So now my question is, my wanted thing is, I wanted to print the duplicate rows. I don't want to print the unique values. I wanted to print the duplicate rows. How I can print it? So you can always use df dot duplicated function and you can call that. See on which row it is duplicated. So see in the false, this row is duplicated, no. So but the second row is duplicated. So first occurrence it is not going to, first occurrence only it is going to take, right? So now it is true, false, false, then true. So these two rows, so when compared to these two data set, this one is duplicated. When compared to these 3 and 4, this row is duplicated, right? How I can print the duplicated rows? So you can just enclose this complete boolean with your actual data frame. See, this 1 and 4, these two rows are duplicated, right? And how I can print now, how I can print the reverse thing. Reverse thing in the sense these are the duplicated rows and non-duplicated rows I wanted to print. How I can print it? So we have here we have an not operator. That is this symbol, not, that you can use if you want to reverse any of the things, any of the operations. So if I provided a not operation where it means not duplicated, it is duplicated, right? If I provided it as a not operator, that means are not duplicated. So in this way as well, you can just remove the duplicates. These are the not duplicated records. Later on, you can do research of and is equals to true. Okay, in this way, you can, I'll just write as an not operator. Just turns this into raw. Okay, so far so clear. Yeah, here we have that, the same kinds of thing. And here we have an example with a real-time data, that is wine quality. So you can see this is the data. You can see the read, head, top elements, and the shape of the data frame is 6497 rows and 13 columns. So let's see the duplicated values and let's remove the duplicates. Okay, I'll just remove the duplicates. You can see the shape is 5329. Index is anyhow, its indexes are not resetted as of now. So that's why it is just showing 6496. But don't consider that. You can just always see the shape at the end. 5329. 5329 minus 5329. 6497. See, 1168 lines are duplicated lines we have in our data. So this is the case in the hardly around 7,000 rows. So let's assume in the like 1 million of records, 2 millions of records, how many duplicated data you might get. So that you need to remove it. So you see, like this 1168 rows will cause some good executor usage, right? This will also take some time for in the model training and all. So to avoid all of these things, it will slow down the execution again. To avoid all of these things, you should know about all of these basic cleaning steps. Right now, it is a dropping the duplicates. So in the same way, we have dropping the columns. Anyhow, you can always find the unique column names that you can identify and you can just get it. Then other thing is, yeah. And you can also find the correlation map. You can also print the correlation map from the correlation as well. If the columns names is same, but the informations are if the column names are different, if the information that columns is providing are same, in that way, in that case also you can remove the columns. By this way, you need to refine your data before pushing your data into your model training. Okay. I hope these things is clear for everyone. I'm just taking a pause now. Let's continue tomorrow. If you have any questions, please ask now. If you guys don't have any question, let's meet in the tomorrow session. Until that time, take care. Bye-bye.